And tonight we'll be hearing from a guest speaker visiting from Budapest. His name is Ananda Caitanya Prabhu, and I'll just read a little bit about him. He's right here in the corner there. Ananda Caitanya Prabhu was born in a Vaishnava family where he worshipped Krishna at home. His mother was particularly devout and would read Bhagavad Gita daily alongside Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada's Krishna book, and others. He grew up familiar with ISKCON, but became a practitioner at the beginning of his studies at Cambridge University in the United Kingdom, where he read economics. After graduating, he worked in investment banking, trading for 1.5 years, after which he joined the Brahmachari ashram at Bhaktivedanta Manor and spent 10 years there. He has now been living in Budapest, Hungary for the past 9 years. He has performed an array of services as a brahmachari, including book distribution leader, brahmachari leader, pujari, temple education and training, and editing the books of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Shivaram Swami. He has been requested by a spiritual master to take sannyas and is now undergoing that process. And so tonight we have the opportunity to hear from him. So, Hare Krishna.
Nice to see you, bro. Where are the books? And they're outside. Yeah. Someone will play kartal, mridanga, sorry. Thank you, bro. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tiravana Chari Jamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhav ki, Shri Shri Radha Giridhari ki, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadramai ki, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura Goswami Maharaj ki, Nittai Gaur Premanandi. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langaite Grim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurundina Taranam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here in San Diego. I request the blessings of Dravidapru before I speak. I was here 3.5 years ago. So time flies, and it's wonderful to be back. And it's wonderful to be in America. When I reflect on America, I think about Srila Prabhupada and his journey. Who's new? Who's here for the first time? First time. Welcome. I mean, who might say welcome, but thank you for coming this evening. Anyone else here for the first time, sir? Wonderful. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. And others are more regular, I guess. Okay. So just to know what to speak about. So, it's wonderful to be back in America. Of course, our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada, he began this journey of sharing Krishna consciousness with the world in 1965. So this year, in all over the world actually, but in Boston specifically, there were some wonderful celebrations in September, because on September the 17th, 1965, His Divine Grace arrived and first stepped on American soil. It was the first time he was leaving India, and he came with a mission. He came with a mission to share the Vedic wisdom with the people of the world. Once Srila Prabhupada arrived in London, he was traveling. He traveled the world in 12 years. Between 1965 and 1977, he established this society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And in those 12 years, he traveled the world 14 times. So he traveled around a lot. He said that all the traveling, it took 10 years off of his life. Traveling is intense. I'm experiencing that now as well. I'm traveling quite a lot, and it's arduous. So Srila Prabhupada arrived once in London, and there was a report. By that time, things had really taken off. There were many, many devotees, many followers. And the press, the media were also interested to see, what is all this hoo-ha? What's all the kerfuffle about? Why is everyone jumping and dancing on the streets of London suddenly? So there were some British reporters. So there was one reporter, and I'm from England, so I can do the accent quite well. So he said, Swamiji, what brings you to British shores? He says. So Srila Prabhupada was very brave. He didn't care who he was speaking to, where he was. He gave it straight. So he said, you Britishers, you came to India and you looted. You took gold, emeralds, diamonds, rubies, sapphires. You took so much wealth from India. You even took the Kohinoor. Yeah, he's cursed, but you took the Kohinoor, the diamond of all diamonds. But you forgot one key jewel, the most valuable jewel of all, and that is a jewel of the Vedic literatures, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. You forgot that one. So I've come here to give it to you. That's a line and a half. Srila Prabhupada was powerful. He was fearless. So he came in order to fearlessly give the Vedic culture to the people of the world. This is his mission. And that mission was given by his spiritual master. On one occasion, in the UK, they were at some lord's house. Rich, very opulent environment, nice table laid out with all of the cutlery as you kind of expect it in that kind of an environment. So they began the meal. And Prabhupada had some disciples with him, and they all started using the knife and fork. But Prabhupada was using his hands. Yeah, this is the Vedic way. This is how we do things. So one of the disciples whispered to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, we're using the knife and fork. We use the knife and fork. Srila Prabhupada whispered back, I didn't come here to accept a culture. I came here to give a culture. I came here to give a culture. Yeah, so he's very clear. Anyone else would say, okay, let me conform. I don't want to keep up with the Joneses. I don't want to be out of place. I want to do the proper thing. Prabhupada was like a lion. Why was he like a lion? Of course, it was part of his nature, but he was a disciple of a lion guru. So today is actually the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. It's the anniversary, 1936, 31st of December 1936. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura Goswami Maharaj, he left this world. And he was called the Lion Guru. Yeah, so he was very strong, very clear on principles. And one occasion, someone walked through the door. There was a class going on like this. Saraswati Thakura was giving a class. Someone walked through the door. They went. They saw the deities. They turned around and they were just about to leave. They were leaving. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura said, "Stop!" He said, "Stop." He said, "Have you finished your eye massage? Have you finished your eye massage?" He says, "What will you see?" The point is, what will you see? You're looking at the deity, but what is your vision? What is your ability to see? How much can you really see that this is not just stone? This is not an idol. This is not a representation of the Lord even. This is Krishna himself. That was his underlying point. So he says, you cannot see with your materially tainted eyes. He says, you can only see through hearing. Sit down and hear. Hear about Krishna. And in this way, you can understand Krishna. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura was very strong. Srila Prabhupada took that element from him. Actually, he took many elements. Srila Prabhupada was a perfect disciple. The disciple takes the word and order of the spiritual master as his life and soul. In the Bhagavad Gita 241, Vyavasyatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. Arjun, Krishna is telling Arjun, be fixed in your duty. Do not deviate. Do not have your intelligence being many-branched. Focus. It reminds me of a nice story from the Mahabharata. Dronacharya, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with the Mahabharata. Dronacharya was the teacher of the Kauravas and the Pandavas. So one day it was the day for the examination. Who's learnt what Dronacharya had actually taught? So then he got everyone up one by one, and to pick up the bow and arrow, there was a bird in a tree. Wooden bird in a tree. Don't worry, not a real bird. A wooden bird in the tree. And the task was to shoot the eye of the bird. That was the task. Shoot the eye of the bird. So Duryodhana got up and he took the bow and arrow. Dronacharya said, take aim. So he took aim. He says, what do you see? He says, oh, I see the tree. I see the leaves. I see the bird. Dronacharya said, sit down. Dusasan got up. He took aim. Dronacharya said, what do you see? I see the sky. I see the trees. Sit down. And like that, he went through the Kauravas, the Pandavas. He was disappointed. Then Arjun got up. He took the bow and arrow. He took aim. Dronacharya said, Arjun, what do you see? Arjun said, I see the eye of the bird, Gurudev. He said, what else do you see? He said, Gurudev, I see the eye of the bird, nothing else. Dronacharya said, fire. And what did he do? He hit the eye of the bird right there. So Arjun was the best archer. He was extremely focused. But of course, in the situation where he's surrounded by his grandfather, his uncles, his cousins, people who he's known all of his life and loves, these are his relatives, these are people who have nurtured him from the very beginning, he begins to quiver, wonder, should I fight? Should I do this? So Krishna is telling him, be fixed, be very focused in your duty. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada, he takes this verse and he says one has to be very fixed and focused with the order of one's spiritual master. One has to take the order of the spiritual master as one's life and soul. Actually, this is coming from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He commented on this verse. This is another great acharya in a very illustrious chain of spiritual preceptors. And he explains that this verse can refer to the guru-disciple relationship. The disciple takes the order of the spiritual master as his life and soul. So in 1922, Srila Prabhupada received an order. His friend Narendranath, he said, there's a holy man. He's come to Calcutta and he's giving lectures, he's giving classes. Please, let's go. Let's hear from him. Srila Prabhupada said, no thanks. I've had it with all these holy men. I've met so many. I'm not interested. I don't trust them. Because when Srila Prabhupada was young, his father, Srila Prabhupada had two fathers actually. His first father was, of course, his biological father. He gave him so much. He gave him so much love. Srila Prabhupada loved kachoris. Who likes kachoris? Yeah? I like kachoris too, yeah? Kachoris, samosas. So Prabhupada loved kachoris. And he loved puris. So on one occasion, Prabhupada wanted puris, but his mother said, no, I won't make puris. I don't have. Puris are for like special occasions. So Prabhupada didn't get puris and he's very upset. So then when his father came home from work, then he saw that Prabhupada was hungry. He wasn't happy. So then he ordered his mother, Prabhupada's mother, make puris for Abhay. Make puris for him. He was also called Kachori Mukha because he loved kachoris. So when there were kachoris, he'd fill his mouth and fill his pockets with kachoris because he loved kachoris. So he's Kachori Mukha. Mukha means mouth. Yeah, he always had kachoris in his mouth. So his father gave him so much love. He showered him with love, but also he implanted the desire for spiritual life, for Krishna consciousness into his heart. So Srila Prabhupada's father, he would always invite holy men to come. He would feed them, he would give them clothes, he would give them donations. And Srila Prabhupada saw so many of these kinds of people, but then he also saw that these people, they weren't really honest. They weren't real holy men. He saw them getting up to all sorts of no good. So then over time, he lost faith in these people. So when he heard about Saraswati Thakura giving lectures in Alta Dunga Road Junction in 1922, Srila Prabhupada said, no thanks, I'm not interested. I don't want to know about all of this. But Narendranath, his friend, he was insistent. So he said, okay, let's go, fine. So they went to this place and they heard from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura. And in this place, Saraswati Thakura was there were many people assembled, they were hearing from him, and he was strong. He had a conviction and he had a mission. He said to the audience, you're English speaking, go and spread this mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Spread this Vedic wisdom, the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, spread it across the world. This was his desire, this was his calling. Srila Prabhupada put his hand up. When it was time for questions, he put his hand up. And he said, actually, sir, this isn't possible. Until Srila Prabhupada was a follower of Gandhi at the time, early 20s. He said, until and unless India is under the British Raj, under British rule, no one will listen. No one will take this message seriously. This movement, this mission of yours cannot move forward under these circumstances. First and foremost, India needs freedom. This was Srila Prabhupada's message. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura was equally, if not more, intense in his response. He said, there is nothing, there is no material impediment which can stop the forward march of the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is no material impediment in the universe that can get in the way of this, because this is the most important thing. When Srila Prabhupada heard this, it shook him to the core. He felt this person has an uncanny faith, a depth, a conviction. He said, at that moment, Srila Prabhupada said, I accepted him as my spiritual master. because he saw that this person is different, this person is real, this person is genuine, and this person has a mission. Anyone likes someone who's got a mission. It's attractive when someone really has something and they really believe in it. Sometimes when I'm distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, there's a person, I'm talking to them, they're not interested, but they'll take a book anyway. And sometimes people have said to me, I can see that you really believe in this, and therefore fine, I'll give you a donation, I'll take a book. So faith is powerful. They say faith can move mountains. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura had an uncanny faith that this will happen, that the name of Krishna, the name of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be sung all over the world. And hey, what do you know? We're here, sitting here in San Diego. And there's people from all over the world sitting in this room, in a Krishna temple, chanting the names of the Lord. It was actually Bhaktivinoda Thakura's prophecy. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura's father, spiritual lineage, his grandfather. He said that in the future, the whole world will come together. People from America, people from Europe, people from Asia, all over the world will come together in Mayapur, and they will chant Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari. They will all come together and chant the names of the Lord in unison. This was his prophecy, this was his vision, this was his desire. So he naturally passed that vision, that faith, on to his son, to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, and therefore this became the essence of his mission. Before he began his mission, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura chanted 1 billion names. So sometimes we struggle to chant 16 rounds. 16 rounds seems like a lot. I remember when I first started chanting, and I remember the day when I first chanted 16 rounds. It was probably a long time for Dravida Prabhu. For me, it was about maybe around 25 years ago, and it was tough. It was difficult. 16 rounds means we have the mala, the beads, 108 beads, one mantra on each bead, and we go around the 108 beads 16 times. That means 1,728 mantras, if you want the exact number. Yeah, it can be difficult. 2 hours, basically, around 2 hours of chanting. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura did 16 rounds times 12. 192 rounds every day for 8.5 years. 8.5 years. Yeah. 1 billion names of the Lord. This was his preparation, because he wanted to prepare to give Krishna consciousness, to give this rarest, most exquisite, most important gem, this jewel, to the people of the world. He started in India, so he created what was called the Gaudiya Math. Very quickly, 64 centers appeared. It was like wildfire, because when you really connect with the Lord, when you connect with Krishna, then you actually become an instrument in his hands. Krishna says to Arjuna in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Nimitta matram bhavisavvisachin, become my instrument. Krishna says, I want this war to happen. It has to happen because good has to prevail over evil. The forces of evil have become too strong. Therefore, either you do it or I'll get it done some other way. But better you become my instrument and do my bidding, do what I want to be done. And therefore the war takes place. So then when we become connected with Krishna, then we become a more and more effective instrument in Krishna's hands. So this was a desire of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This was a desire of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, and he implanted that desire in Srila Prabhupada, that this mission, that this wisdom can't stay in the very small space of India. Everyone should know about it. Everyone should have access to it. Everyone in the world knows about the Bible. Everyone in the world knows about the Quran. Who hasn't heard of the Torah? But there's too many people in the world who have never heard of the Bhagavad Gita. I meet people all the time, And I say, this is a Bhagavad Gita. And they say, Bhagavad what? But what? They don't know. They have no idea. But this is the richest, deepest, most profound philosophy on the planet. I didn't know about it. My mother was reading the Bhagavad Gita every day. Every evening she was telling me, myself and my brother about what she had read. So I knew some of the philosophy. But until I actually picked up this book and read it for myself, when I came of age, I guess, it hit me. Actually, I was at university when I really took it to heart. I read a little when I was younger. When I was in my first year, first week at university, I was looking through the list of societies, and there was a Cambridge University Krishna Consciousness Society. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go to that. So I went along, because I'd come in touch with the devotees over the years a lot. I knew about Prabhupada's books. My mother was reading them. I was reading them too sometimes. So I went along to the society. And when I went and sat down, there was a man who was about to give the talk. And he was born in London, but hailing from Ghana. And I'm not proud of my thought, but I thought to myself in my heart, I thought, what is this guy going to tell me about my book? I grew up with this. So I sat there in a skeptical state of mind, and then he began to speak on the Bhagavad Gita. And he spoke with such clarity, with such aplomb. He knew what he was talking about, and he knew this book like the back of his hand. I never quite understood that one though, because I don't know the back of my hand very well. I don't think anyone does. But he knew it like a lawyer knows his law books. He was quoting left, right, and center verses, purports. He knew it like click of his finger. And he had faith in this. He had a conviction. He knew what he was talking about, and he was living it. And that really affected me. And that made me go back, take my copy of the Gita, and give it a read myself. But has anyone ever picked up the Bhagavad Gita, read a little bit, and then put it back down because you just don't understand? It doesn't quite make sense. Or there's too many statements in there which you don't quite connect with. I definitely found that. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada says in the introduction that one should read this book in the association of devotees. You have to be around people who know this, who are living this, because then they can answer all of your questions. So his name is Bhuttabhavana, wonderful devotee. So he told me, whatever questions you have, note them down and come and ask. So that's what I did. And in that way, I began to understand, and I began to imbibe this sublime knowledge, and I kicked myself. I kicked myself so many times. I was 17 or 18 when I actually feel like I began this journey in truth. But I kicked myself. Why didn't I do this earlier? I wasted so much time. Time is of the essence. Time and tide wait for no man. Srila Prabhupada quotes Geoffrey Chaucer. Scottish? Chaucer? English? He's from the UK. So valuable. So valuable. This wisdom is so rich and so deep. There is no wisdom on the planet which is deeper. And there is no tradition which gives more insight into the nature of God, His name, His form, His qualities, His abode, His associates, and His pastimes. So especially during this month of December, and the run-up to Christmas especially, we make a special effort in ISKCON, all over the world, to share this wisdom with the people of the world. Actually, this is a key, a fundamental of our tradition, of what we do as a society all over the world. We distribute millions and millions of literatures on an annual basis, but particularly in the month to Christmas, we make a special effort to go out and share this wisdom with the people of the world, because everyone deserves to know about it. Everyone deserves to actually know that it exists and to be able to explore it, should they wish to do so. And so right now, last Monday was Gita Jayanti. It was the anniversary of when the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So all over the world, there was recitals of the Bhagavad Gita. In some places, of course, they happen at different times. So, for example, I was just in LA giving the Sunday feast. It's an earlier Sunday feast class there. And they're doing a recital of the Bhagavad Gita next Sunday. I know in Budapest, where I live, we're doing the recital next Saturday on the 13th of December. So like that, but this wisdom, it deserves our attention. It deserves reading, but not just reading, it deserves a study. And it's not just the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is just the beginning. The Bhagavad Gita is an introduction. It's the foundational text. But then beyond that, there's the Srimad Bhagavatam. 12 cantos, 18,000 verses, so much detail and insight into the nature of God. Because at the end of the day, what are we all looking for? It's our birthright to be happy. We're all looking for happiness. We're all looking for that satisfaction in the heart. Many of you have come from India. My parents also emigrated to the UK from India. Why does anyone leave India? You're looking for economic stability, for peace and harmony, etc., etc. So imagine, track your mind back to before you came to the West. The hopes, how it would be. I'm going to America, the land of the free, the land of opportunity. And now you're here, and life goes on. And there's improvements, but there's also things you miss. There's pluses and minuses about everything in life. The fact is that we're all looking for happiness. Once, John Lennon was in school. He tells a story. I'm not a fan of John Lennon, but anyway, it's I think it's a valuable, instructive story. John Lennon was in school, and the teacher asked everyone in the class, what do you want to be when you grow up? So all the students have to give an answer. I remember when I was young, I went through various phases. At one point, I wanted to be a firefighter. A little bit later, I thought I want to be a police officer. Then once I was flying to India from London, and they allowed me into the cockpit of the aeroplane. And I was fascinated by all the buttons. And, you know, the pilots were wearing a nice suit, and they looked so smart and in command and control. I thought, I want to be a pilot. And a bit later, I settled on wanting to become a banker. And that remained my desire for many, many years, until I saw the light. So, sorry if anyone's a banker out there. They asked the students in the class, what do you want to be when you grow up? So, you know, there were different students. Someone said, I want to be an actor. Someone says, I want to be a lawyer. Someone says, I want to be an engineer. Someone says, I want to be an artist, a singer, pianist, whatever it may be. When it came to John, does anyone know what John said? John said, I want to be happy. I want to be happy. The teacher said, sorry, John. Started laughing. Sorry, John. You don't understand the question. John shot back. You don't understand life. Powerful. You don't understand life. I mean, that's deep. That's deep. Who's thinking like that? Where do you get trained to think? I thought when I went to university that they're going to train me to think deeper about life. It's going to broaden my horizons, allow me to look at things from different perspectives, learn about life, learn about the world, learn about living. It was just another exam factory. And I don't think that's just the university I went to. I think that's the educational system as a whole, unfortunately, in most cases. There may be exceptions. Maybe there were exceptions here and there for me too, but on the whole, just another exam factory. Srila Prabhupada said that is a slaughterhouse. Why is it a slaughterhouse? Because no one ever speaks about the big bad three-letter word beginning with G and ending in D. Yeah? No one ever speaks about God. God is taken out of the picture, and therefore is killing the living entity's chances of actually becoming happy. And happy means Krishna conscious. We all have a hole in the heart. We're all missing something. And we're trying to fill that hole with so many different things. A passport, a house, a car, a partner, food, possessions, the latest iPhone, the Apple Watch, the this, the that, whatever it may be. We're trying to fill that hole with so many different things. But how much satisfaction do any of these things actually bring? It's a rhetorical question. You all know the answer. You all know the answer at the end of the day. Because actually that hole has a particular shape. No matter what you try to fill it with, it has a particular shape. Just like the last piece in a puzzle has a particular shape. You can try and get pieces from another puzzle, but unless you have the final piece of this puzzle, it doesn't quite feel complete. So the shape in our heart, it looks a little bit like this. Krishna. We have to learn how to put Krishna into that shape in our hearts, into that hole in our hearts. And this is what the Bhagavad Gita is about. This is what this temple and what this mission is actually all about. To learn how to really, genuinely bring Krishna into our lives in a real way, in an experiential way. So this place is not about a bunch of rules and regulations that you have to follow if you want to be part of us, if you want to be good, if you want to be right. Krishna consciousness is meant to be an experience. It's an opportunity to rekindle our two-way loving relationship with Krishna. This is our birthright. This is the only one thing which will actually make us happy. And being happy is our natural yearning. Every living entity, man or beast, wants to be happy because the soul is yearning for that. Raso vai sa. It's described that the soul has a yearning for rasa, for experience, for taste, for something. And therefore Krishna consciousness is there to provide people, to provide humanity with this experience of developing and establishing and nurturing this wonderful, beautiful relationship with Krishna. So the Bhagavad Gita is something which actually during this month especially we try and give to as many people as possible. So take a Bhagavad Gita today. Take a few Bhagavad Gitas. Some people take cases. If you want hardbound Bhagavad Gitas, there's 16 Bhagavad Gitas in a case. If you want softback, I think there's 24 Bhagavad Gitas in a case. Take a case of Bhagavad Gitas, and in the run-up to Christmas, give them to friends, give them to family, give them to neighbors. This is the gift of wisdom, but not just any old wisdom. This is the gift, this is the key to actually finding peace, harmony and happiness, which every living entity is ultimately looking for. And this is the mission that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, that Srila Prabhupada came with. The reason Srila Prabhupada traveled the 7 seas, the reason he left his life, his blissful, wonderful life in Vrindavan, and came to the West, is because he wanted to deliver this message to the people of the world. And therefore, as his instruments, Krishna's telling Arjuna to be his instrument. Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura are requesting us to be their instruments. Nimitta Matra Bhavya Savya Sachin, become his instrument and help to share this message with the people of the world. Srila Prabhupada toiled so hard in order to produce these books. He had so many manuscripts. On one occasion, there was a young man called Howard. He'd studied English. He was good at typing. So he came forward and he wanted to help Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada just gave him a few pages of a manuscript and he said, type it up and improve the English. So a day or two later, Howard returned and everything was nicely typed. And he said to Srila Prabhupada, do you have any more? So Srila Prabhupada said, yes. And then he took him to a cupboard and he opened the cupboard and it was lined. There was manuscripts up to the ceiling. And Howard looked, eyes wide open, and he said, that's enough for a whole lifetime. Srila Prabhupada said, many lifetimes. Yeah, because Srila Prabhupada was toiling day and night. He'd rest at 10, get up at 12, and that time is very peaceful, very quiet, there's no one around, and it was a time without cell phones, good days, and he would just write, translate and comment the Bhaktivedanta purports. He says in one video, in one lecture, Srila Prabhupada is saying, who did I write for? I worked so hard to produce these books. Who did I do it for? First and foremost, Srila Prabhupada did it for the devotees. So we should also read and study these books. And then he did it for humanity. This is a gift for humanity. So we should also take a little bit of effort to imbibe what Srila Prabhupada has given and also share this with the people of the world. This is the time to give. Christmas time is a time to give all over the world. Even in India, some time ago I was in India once at Christmas time and I was amazed. Christmas was a real, it was quite a prominent thing. So all over the world, people are celebrating Christmas. It's a time to give. So give this wisdom to the people. And in this way, we can satisfy so many great souls, our predecessors, who have invested and given so much in order to bring us here, to bring us to what we have today. There's one song, His Holiness Jeb Thakamraj, he's written a song and he says, Jadi Prabhupada na hoito, tabe ki hoito. If Srila Prabhupada didn't come, if he didn't come, then what would happen? What would be my life? Where would I be? And sometimes I reflect on that. If Srila Prabhupada didn't come, if Prabhupada didn't establish ISKCON, if he didn't establish this society, if he didn't write all of these books, establish the temples, where would I be? What would my life be? And what would be the meaning of my life? Yeah, I grew up with Krishna, so I had a little bit of Krishna in my life, but Srila Prabhupada taught pure devotional service. When I learned the definition of pure devotional service, the speaker at university, he spoke about how to approach God. And he was quoting this verse, Savai pumsam paro dharmo, yato bhakti radokshaje. Ahai tukiya pratihata, yayatma suprasiddhati. He says, many people, many religionists, they approach God with a reason, because they want something from God. And I was doing that. I was always asking for good exam results from Krishna. That was my number one prayer to Krishna. But he was saying this is a business deal. You're engaging with Krishna like a businessman. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So it's selfish. Actually, the way to approach God, he's given us everything. All the way up to this shirt on our back, we say in England. He's given us everything we have, and therefore it behooves us to approach him in a mood of servitude, in a mood of surrender, and in a pure way, which means I want nothing back from you, Krishna. Please simply allow me to serve you. Allow me to serve you. This is pure devotional service. And actually this is Haitukiya Pratihata, no cause, no motive. And this kind of service, Yayatma Suprasiddhati, that kind of service brings real satisfaction to the self. That's the science to be happy. That's the essence of the Vedic literatures. This is how to be happy, to come to Krishna, to serve him without any desire for anything in return. When I heard that definition, I thought, wow, this is pure, this is real, this is attractive. And it's so different to anything else that I'd seen or heard anywhere else before. So, I just wanted to say some words. We've got a few minutes. So if there's any questions, comments from anyone, anyone can say anything they like. This is an open house. Yes?
Thank you. Is this on? Okay. Yes, Prabhupada, I was wondering, how is the situation of the, well, I don't know if you're not living in London now, but I was wondering how the London temple, is it flourishing, healthy? And I was wondering if it's been taken, I mean, if it's been affected by the terrorism problem and all over there now.
London is flourishing for sure.
It is super good.
After COVID, things have doubled. Sunday program, when I was there 10 years ago, had 1,500 to 2,000 people. These days it has 3,500 to 4,000 people on a Sunday. Janmashtami has 80,000 people. So that's Bhaktisiddhanta Manor, which was donated by George Harrison, the Beatles. And then there's ISKCON London, Central London. Just a couple of weeks ago, they bought Bury Place, 7 Bury Place, where things all began in London. That was the first centre that we had there. Srila Prabhupada went there. 1979, I believe, they moved to the current place, but they just bought 7 Bury Place, which is really wonderful. So there's a lot happening. There's a lot of preaching going on, a lot of activity. So London's a very bustling place.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Someone else? Yes, Prabhu.
So they just purchased Bury Place. They moved from there to Soho Street?
They moved in 79 to Soho Street.
So they no longer had that Bury Place in their possession?
Correct. It was sold.
Sold?
It was sold, so they've just bought it back.
So they brought it back. What condition is it in?
That I'm not aware of, to be honest with you. But I remember hearing at one point that it was a dentist's surgery for some time. But I don't know the most recent information. I'm a little disconnected these days. But they bought it for £1.6 million, in case you're interested. Just over $2 million. Not bad for London.
We're also expanding here in San Diego County. There's a temple project that's in the works.
Wonderful.
Just north of here.
Wonderful. Yeah, I feel overall more and more people are thinking about life as hedonism and materialism intensifies, so does spirituality. Because people realize as they try so many new and unique ways of trying to capture some taste from this material realm, people become disappointed. They try so many things. Doesn't work. So hey, maybe there's something in it. Maybe there is a God. And then people turn to spirituality. So I see more and more people are really thinking about things. And another aspect of the kind of expansion is that during COVID, the online platform just exploded. So there's so much content online these days, and therefore a lot of access to anyone, anywhere in the world. You can access copious amounts of Krishna conscious content, which is a good thing. The real task is to boil the milk. In 1972, Srila Prabhupada wrote a letter where he said, we've got enough devotees, we've got enough temples, now we have to boil the milk. We have to make quality. That's a real task. And that's something which is often easy to miss. We have to be careful that's not missed. Anyone else?
I have another question.
Yes, bro.
So you just mentioned boil the milk, and also you mentioned that there is no material impediment for spreading Krishna consciousness. But there's this idea that our mission is to make the world somewhat Krishna conscious, to reach everyone and infiltrate and add a little bit of Krishna consciousness. So in order to do that, because the world's changing, maybe we should make some adjustments. But that would mean, making material adjustments. Do you think that's necessary?
I think this is a big topic, and maybe not one that I'm going to cover in 6 minutes on this Vyasa-san.
Well, you could say yes or no just to give us a start.
There's definitely room for adjustment, for sure, but that adjustment should be very carefully done because it's easy to lose the essence. And so it takes someone with a lot of wisdom, depth, and Krishna consciousness in order to know what to change, when to change, and how to change.
Right.
And Srila Prabhupada said, you guys always want to change.
Because you
This
have
is a disease.
principles and then you have details.
Correct. What's the principle and what's the detail? Is clothes, the clothes we wear, is it a principle or is it a detail? Question?
Well,
Up for discussion?
If we look just like we've come from Vaikuntha, then it wouldn't be a detail, would it?
I agree with you, but not everyone does.
If the police department changes the way they dress, are we going to know that they're a policeman and we can go to them for help?
Yeah, I agree, Prue. Maybe we can speak about it afterwards. Mm-hmm. It's a big topic, interesting topic.
Yeah, because in the beginning, when Srila Prabhupada came to America, it's still happening too. There's a big health food craze.
Sure.
Health food. And everyone was asking, is there sugar in the food?
Sure.
And Prabhupada said, don't worry about the sugar. Just take prasad, be happy.
Yes, yes. We have a wonderful mission. We have a lot to give to the world. And I think if we are confident about what we have to give, then people will see the value and they'll appreciate it for what it is. Because this is very profound and very, very deep, very, very wonderful. Mataji?
Hare Krishna, thank you. Forgive me if you spoke on this already and I missed it, but I recently saw you on LA's live stream and you were distributing some literature.
Yes.
Do you have that with you here for us tonight? And if you do, can you speak more on it?
Sure.
Okay.
So actually I'm traveling around America, but particularly down the West Coast right now. And we have some beautiful books which have been written by His Holiness Shivaram Swami. What is Prabhupada's gift to the world? Prabhupada brought the Bhagavad Gita and he brought the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the apex of the Vedic literatures. Vyasadeva wrote the Vedic literatures down, he penned them, seeing the oncoming Kali Yuga society, they wouldn't be able to remember anything. So he penned everything, but it wasn't satisfying. And so his spiritual master Narad Muni told him, write one literature with one topic. Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the topic of the Bhagavatam? It's Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. There's no other literature, no other body of knowledge which provides more detail and insight into the name, form, qualities, abode and associates of God, of the Supreme. So Srila Prabhupada took that Bhagavatam and he took the 10th canto, and very early on, 1970, he produced the Krishna book so that devotees can have deeper insight into Krishna. So in pursuance of Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book, Shiva Maharaj has been writing about Krishna. So he's produced some beautiful literatures. There's 2 sets of books that we have that we're traveling with. And they basically describe beautiful pastimes of Krishna, many which devotees will have never heard of before because they're based on the writings of the acharyas. Beautiful pastimes, very good for children and very good for adults. They're very nicely presented. The artwork is out of this world. They're really windows into the spiritual world. And they're very high quality productions. So they're not available here in America. We print them in Hungary, where I'm based and where Maharaj lives. We use one of the best printers in the country to do a good job. But we've brought them here with us. So yes, we do have them. And they're in the foyer, just outside. So before you go this evening, please do come along, take a look. We have 2 different sets. We have some sets left. We sold many in LA, and before that further up the West Coast. So we're just going down. This is pretty much our last stop on the West Coast. So we do have some sets left for you all. So please do take a look before you go this evening. They're well worth it, a very good investment, and they're cheaper than an iPhone. Is that okay, Machi? Thank you very much. Okay, we have 1 minute, but I think we should probably stop. Yes, Prabhu, Trivida Prabhu.
It'll take less than a minute. Is that okay?
Poem, please.
I wrote this 3 years ago for Prabhupada's appearance day, but I generalized it a little bit. Okay. O Prabhupada, we hail the day when you appear just like a ray of Krishna's vast effulgence bright to give this blind world back its sight. We thank you from the bottom of our heart and pray with deepest love that we may serve your lotus feet in every circumstance we meet. As years go by and books go out, we see what life is all about. To serve your mission and our Lord's by spreading wide your sacred words. As well, you want us all to strive to let those words direct our lives. This safest path will lead us home, no more in Maya's realm to roam. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. To me, at Dravida108@gmail, and I'll send you all my poems as a PDF for free. Hare Krishna.
Dravida Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Radha Giridhari ki, Shri Shri Jagannabaldes Bhadramai ki, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, ISKCON San Diego ki, Nittai Gaur Premanande. Jai!